What you're looking at.
Oh, it started.
Not yet. Hello, welcome to Everyday Experts. We have a fun-filled, jam-packed show for you today. We have the book launch of my newest book, number 11, Love and Poetry. And it is actually a departure from what I normally do. Love and Poetry is half a relationship book and half poetry about relationships. So it was two things that I like to write about and talk about, and I brought them together. But, of course, what's up, Jake? Of course, I am not going to partake on this journey alone. I have wonderful guests with me. I have a wonderful, exemplary host who's going to be guiding you along the way. My darling wife and her best friends are going to be joining me to talk about one of the chapters of the book, which we'll go into later. But before I bring Rachel on and we discuss the book, let me just give you an idea of what the book is about. In the introduction, we have poetry and love. So relationships cut through you every single day, whether you are in one, just got out of one, or looking for one. They are the one constant in your life. And while I'm focusing on romantic relationships, these ideas can be applied anywhere. We have ideas of love from social media to wedding rings to our interpersonal relationships. And unfortunately, we are constantly judged based on our relationships. Did somebody break up with who? Why do you keep going out with this person? Is this one's baby father, baby mother, husband, wife? Are they no good? How well are we doing in our relationships? How long have you been together? Are you engaged yet? I found in doing my research and gathering the stories from my book that one recurring barrier to successful relationships is that we often look to people who agree with us about our issues. So I'm asking somebody who has a relationship to talk to somebody who doesn't have a relationship, or somebody who just doesn't agree with the person or doesn't like the person. So I'm seeking advice from people who don't necessarily have the skill set or expertise or understanding or the neutrality to give me advice. These stories that I present you are real people. You will hopefully say I have a friend like her or him, which you probably will. And the object of the book is to keep it real with what I've seen and learned over the years. I never try to pretend to have all the answers. Rather, I just want to put out a different perspective to help you look at things through a different lens than you have always conveniently looked at relationships from, because that's what we do. It also serves as a reminder that we typically know more than we think we know about the person we're dating, about our husband, about our wife, about our partner. My good friend asked me this question, which helped me formulate my approach to this book. They asked, how do you learn to trust yourself? And this is the reality of what you go through when it comes to dating and picking a potential partner. You need to understand that the person you are picking is the person that you feel is best for you, not someone you are settling for, not the person who you are staying with for the sake of the children, but rather that is helpfully fulfilling you, whether good or bad. Relationships are hard work. One of the things I've learned about steady observation is that everyone has behaviors that they fall into when they are in relationships. It should not be shocking to learn that in this news, but what should not come as a surprise is that many people do not take the time to learn the behavior patterns of their significant other. I watch my husband or wife or boyfriend or girlfriend every single day, but I don't pay attention to what the hell they are doing. And when they do stuff that's out of character, which really isn't out of character, I'm shocked and I'm surprised. Again, I'm going to talk about relationships in a romantic sense, and I want to remind you that these ideas can be applied to relationships at all. And the poetry part, it's often coupled together. So poetry is often coupled with love in so many ways. Shakespeare and other poets have taken the two things and placed them together. And relationships merge nicely with my newest collection of poetry. This book is going to be a first of its kind. Hopefully you'll learn something reading it as I learned something writing it. There's a quote. Hi, Catherine. Love isn't about what you need. It's what you need that you didn't know you need. So that's the intro. That's a little synopsis of the book. And I'm going to bring in one of the people that helped get this whole process started. She is a great person, very talented. She was on the show, Miss Rachel. She was able to help me create the cover for the book. And by help me, I mean she created the cover and I just said I like it. She also helped me create the website, elpoetaguasan.com. She also helped me do a lot of the marketing and all of those things because she is a woman of many strengths and talents, and she is a coach, and she's a leader, and she is one of my good friends. So I bring to you and present to you Miss Rachel Miller.
Hi. That's
oh,
so
hey.
Nice. Thanks, Akili. Hey.
Thanks, Akili. Thank you, Rachel, for being on the show. How are you today?
I'm good. I'm excited to kind of pick your brain about this a little. Because like you said, like it really is something that is the first of its kind, especially, you know, a departure from your usual work.
Yeah.
So I think that's going to open a lot of interesting things to talk about. Pretty
Well,
stoked.
So you said that you wanted to talk about it. So
let's talk about it.
You a chance to. Sorry, there was a bug. I'm going to give you a chance to have a little.
Did you get it?
Quick Q&A. I don't know. It was just in my face and I didn't like it. Quick Q&A about what is going on and, you know, kind of the books. But what I want to ask you, you know, what did you think about the book and how did you come about with creating the cover and the graphics and, you know, pretty much bringing the book together?
Yeah, for sure. So first of all, the book is such an interesting combination of anecdotes, art, and advice. Like the way that the three different facets come together to kind of create this three-dimensional experience where you're able to be entertained but also reflect. I really enjoy that about it. And it was something that I connected with a lot. I'm at an age where half of my friends are married or getting married, and half of my friends are out at bars meeting people. I mean, not right now because Rona. But it's interesting. Like it was easy to identify different people throughout the book, and you know, to be able to resonate with different aspects. I don't want to say too much that gives it away, obviously, for people who haven't had the pleasure of reading it yet. But do yourself a favor and read it, is what I will say. When it comes to the cover, I think as a designer, my job is to visually represent whatever piece I'm working off of. So, like, for example, most of the time I'm designing a brand. So my job is to basically put a person on a piece of paper and have it really authentically match them. And with your work, especially your poetry, the words really speak for themselves. So when I was thinking about the concept, you know, it's funny because usually the saying is a picture says 1,000 words. Thanks, Patty. But in this scenario, each individual word says 1,000 words. You know, it's thank you guys so much. So it's really about accentuating even the juxtaposition between the more serious sage wisdom parts of the book and the more artistic creative parts. So like on the cover, the heart is made out of your favorite poem from the book, the one that you had selected. And it's red and it's bright and it's vibrant and it's kind of like loud in a way that I think your poetry tends to be, in a good way. Like it's making a statement boldly. Whereas in the background, you have all of these different words supporting it and creating kind of a frame for it and context for it. And in a greater sense, in kind of an ongoing metaphor, that's what the more advice and anecdotal parts of the book are doing to support the poetry. So that's kind of the approach that I took on the design. But I would rather talk less and make you talk now because I have questions for you, my friend.
Oh my God.
The first of which being, so you work in mental health, right? You are a professional advice giver. You are a husband. You do all the things. What was it like for you to have all of these different parts of your life and all of these different passions collide into one project?
That's a good question. It's a very good question. I think that it's always been something that it's been separate as much as it could be. Like I do a lot of poetry therapy and journal therapy, whatever you want to call it. And a lot of that was, okay, therapy's here, talking's here, writing's here, whatever. So when I brought them together, which wasn't an idea, I have been working on the relationship part of love and poetry for, I want to say 10 years. I started, I think, in like 2008, 2009. And it was one thing that I could never find the way to complete it, to bring it to conclusion. Like it always felt like, okay, I can always add another story. And I didn't want to get it. I didn't want it to get too preachy, because I do feel like a lot of these books, you know, Think Like a Man, Relationship Rescue, these books that are go-tos are telling you, well, this is how you do a relationship, and this is how you put it together, and blah, 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 blah.
Right.
But I don't think people necessarily need a relationship self-help book as much as a compass or like a guide. Like, point me in a direction.
Yeah. Well,
'Cause I'm
that's
only
even like, there's a big difference between the type of advice that you want to get from a friend that's like, do this,
Yeah.
or the type of advice that you get from a friend that's like helping you navigate through your options and helping you navigate through the different kind of, I guess, variables affecting your decision making. And as a friend of yours, I can attest to the way that you are very much the latter type of friend. You're the type of friend who's like, let's talk through it, let's figure it out. And I think that it comes from a very humble place of the fact that, yes, you are a professional, and yes, you are very in tune with human nature and good with words and understanding of, you know, general circumstances. But at the end of the day, you know that everyone has their own perspective and experiences. And no matter what you say, that's what's going to primarily drive the car. You know, so whether you piss them off by trying to give them too much direction, you know, or kind of just suggest and help guide, I think that's really the choice that you so clearly understand. And that's what you do in this book, which makes it definitely more powerful, I think, than those other options.
I find a lot of people make, I don't want to say mistakes. They have two choices they usually make. I go to my female friends when I'm a girl to ask about men, but I never go to my male friends to find out the male psyche, because it's different. It's two different options. It's two different points of view. Doesn't mean that my wife is looking at me like I'm crazy, but if I'm always going to my girlfriends for advice, what do you think is it gonna bring clarity to the male point of view, the male thinking?
No, not at all. It's probably going to just reinforce what you're thinking to begin with, which we like to surround ourselves by a choir of yeses, right? It feels nice.
But that's what it is.
I know, like, in my life, when my friends come to me for advice about a guy, I always ask my partner, because I'm like, I don't know. Like, you're right as far as I'm concerned, but he might see it the guy's way, and he might be able to shed light in a different way. And the answers he comes up with are always like, really? Like, I never would have thought about that, you know? So I think it's important. That's a really good point, because you're not learning anything new, you know? And that comes to, oh, sorry, I keep like going off. But that goes along with the motivation of, why are you seeking help? Are you seeking reinforcement in your perspective and people to just validate that you're right? Or are you seeking more insight that you can potentially learn from and grow from, and that could empower you to navigate the situation better? And I think that a lot of us intuitively want to seek the first because it's really validating and nice, but the second is what will actually be productive.
And when you go to your friends, and you know, and guys do the same thing, so it's not just a male female, you know, it's both. I go to somebody who's going to agree with me for the most part. How many times do you really challenge your friend to be like, listen, well, I understand you like this person and you care about them, but what do they bring into the table for you?
Right.
Sometimes it's better to just eat alone than to eat with somebody who makes you feel like shit.
Amen.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's better to just, if I can do it on my own, well, why do I need somebody who is just making me feel empty?
Amen.
Because relationships are so much about working together, and so much about teamwork, and so much about communication and being on the same page, that a lot of times, but we were just never on the same page. but because you're cute or you're hot or you bench press a lot or you dress nice or you have money or whatever.
Or because people are afraid to be alone.
Of course they are. We're socially driven humans are socially driven. We're constructed to be with other people. That's why jail is such a daunting task for most people, because who are you spending most of your time with? Yourself.
Being sentenced to spend time with yourself and no one else is a very difficult sentence for anyone, I think. That's, I think, why so many people had mental health struggles during the quarantine that was going on.
Because you don't know the people you're living with. And when you're forced to, let me actually talk to my husband, let me talk to my wife, let me talk to my girlfriend, let me talk to my parents or my family. You'll see if you took a straw poll, I bet you there were a lot of people that found out who they were living with and didn't like them.
Oh, yeah.
And didn't like themselves.
Oh, yeah. Definitely. Okay, I have another question for you.
Shoot.
Because I know we could probably keep talking about this.
No, you're fine.
But in chapter 8, you start out with a quote that really hit me. It says, "Trusting you is my decision. Proving me right is your choice." And there's this theme throughout the book about how it's really a two-way street. It's a partnership in a way that is about sharing blame and working together to find solutions. But what you entitled the chapter to me was really interesting. You called it "That Big Wall We Build Called Trust." Yep. And, when we think about a wall, it's usually something that's more divisive than, something that connects us. Like we would think more a bridge than a wall, right? So what inspired that? Because that just was so interesting to me.
The 3 pillars, and I said this, and it's not unilateral, but the 3 pillars of a good relationship. And I use romantic relationships just because it's the most unilateral, but any relationship: honesty, trust, and communication. People go, well, aren't that the same thing? No. Well, if you're honest, then I know that I can trust you to communicate with me completely.
They build upon each other.
It builds on each other. So honesty, I have to be honest with you. Trust, you have somebody, I'm working with somebody who cheated, and the wife took them back. I'm also working with a couple who cheated, and the husband took the wife back. But they can't get past what happened. So how do you build the trust back when the biggest question is, how can I build trust when I'm not letting you build trust?
Right. How can I it's multifaceted too, right? It's building the trust back, but it's also letting go of that feeling of being hurt. And for whatever reason, I feel like human beings latch on to situations where they could be the victim. And it's fair. When you're hurt, you lick your wound and it sucks, and that's understandable. But we kind of relish in that a little bit. We kind of like to wallow, like just as a species. It's
I want you to feel bad for me.
Kind of, yeah. And so I think it's simultaneously about working to build that trust on one side, but also being willing to let go and to grow and to forgive and move on. And I have a friend who actually is in the process of ending a particularly rough relationship. And she had made a mistake a long time ago. A few friends actually with a similar story where one or the other made a mistake and they get back together and it's just perpetually held over their head. And it's like stupid shit, like, you didn't do the dishes. Well, you fucked up 5 years ago. Like, and cool.
But that's the residual.
Why are we still doing this then? Yeah. And that's not something that I've experienced. So seeing that pattern from the outside is just like, what the fuck? Like, I don't understand.
Well, and think about it in this terms. A lot of people don't learn in our culture. We're not taught how to deal with loss. Think how bad we deal with losing anything.
Oh, absolutely.
What was your favorite CD when you were, did you even have CDs?
I did have CDs.
How old were you when you had a CD?
Thank you for acting like I'm 12. CDs were a thing maybe until I was like, I don't know, 16, 17.
Okay, so let's go to freshman year in high school. What was your favorite CD?
The Black Parade by Kim.
The Black Parade by Kim.
By My Chemical Romance.
By My
Tell
Chemical
me the
Romance.
thing.
All right.
Okay.
So now, let's say you're going to listen to it one day. You're ready. You had your CD player with the shock protection and your headphones. You can't find it. What is your first feeling? The look on your face right now.
Yeah.
The look on your
It's
face right
shitty.
now.
It's like, what the? I had it. Well, it's also it's frustration with yourself for not being able to locate and retrieve that item, right? And it's like the fear that it will never return. And then like the kind of spiral of, well, how do I recover from this and what do I do next? I mean, on a much greater scale when it's a human being or a relationship or, you know,
but a
things
CD,
like
but in
big
the micro,
realizations.
so in the micro looking at it, the micro perspective, the very small, it's a CD. But as most people know, I lost my parents I lost my dad last year and I lost my mom 8 years before that. How do you recover from that? You're not taught ever to live without your parents. You're not taught that. If I'm not adopted, if I'm not something like that, I don't know what it's like not to have my parents there. Even if you have one parent or absent parent, you know what it's like to have parents. So now I have to figure out how to function without my parents, how to have the people that center and ground most families gone. So then now you have families thrown together. Relationships. Is it honesty? Well, we've never had to be honest before. We never.
Kristen, can we talk about this for a second? We are taught to play recorder, but not how to handle loss. That's so true. It's like, yeah, I know how to graph a parabola, but like, what do I do when I'm
sad? What do I do when I'm upset?
We're not taught the important skills. And that's because a lot of mental health is just so extraordinarily stigmatized that it's not considered to be a necessary tool when you're growing up to learn how to handle it. But we could talk about that forever. My big question is, why a wall? Why is trust
a wall? Because I have trust as a person. Whether you trust somebody enough, you either start one of two ways. You start with giving somebody trust and they lose it, or you start with not giving them somebody trust and they earn it. I start with giving people trust. Then when they lose it, it's game over. Goodbye. Bye-bye. And they don't get it back. So now this is my trust, but it's a wall around it. And what's the most important thing in a relationship?
It's something you protect.
Yeah. And what's the most important thing with being in a relationship?
Trust.
Being vulnerable. Because all that goes into trust.
All three of those pillars coming
together. You
together
have to let somebody into your life. Inside,
which requires trust, communication, and honesty.
And loyalty and respect and oh, hey, Jen, and truth, and all of these things that I sit there and I build, and you can trust me, you can do this, but then something happens. Can I? And I'm not even talking about cheating. I'm talking about I need $20. Patty has $30. I asked for $20. Oh, I don't have any money. I only have $30. I need it. She wouldn't do that. Let me clear. Patty would not do that. But I had to be vulnerable enough to do what? Ask for the money.
Right. And it feels like a rejection.
It is a rejection.
In that situation. Yeah.
And we hate rejection.
Well, yeah, it is a rejection.
Nobody wants to be told no. Why do you think it's so hard for guys to ask girls out and all of this stuff, to approach and do all of these simple things that are hard? Because you made a face, Latoya, and we're going to talk to Latoya in a minute, but she did, because guys come up to you to proposition you, but are they asking you out on dates? I have friends that have never been on a date, and they're in their third. Never been on a date. Like, what do you mean, go hang out? No, like a date. Like, I'll ask, let's go to this place.
Wait. So what is it, just physical in that scenario?
If you never learned what a date was.
That's not a relationship, though, right? I guess we could have a debate forever. That's not, in my perspective, I'm like so dumbfounded by this. English has gone out the window. In my perspective, which is my perspective and mine alone, and I am not saying it's truth. I would never assert that. But from my vantage point, a relationship is when you have a connection with somebody that you are building upon and growing with, and whether it's platonic or romantic, It's fuck buddies, Kristen.
Yeah.
Let's call it what it is. But
Yeah.
it's not even it's not even about taking care of the other person in an emotional sense. Whereas in a relationship, there is that growth together. It's just, the literal growth of hello, one's inside the other, done, bye.
Bring up Mitch's comment. Yeah, a monogamous non-relationship, that's fine. But what is the point of dating? It's an interview
but
process.
how do you
It's an interview
connect
process
with someone without having that dynamic? How do you have one without the other? I mean,
look at the younger generation.
I mean, okay, I personally, we're going really personal here.
Oh,
I have only ever duped the dupe with one human being in my life. And I always knew that I was going to wait for my person. And like, that's not normal for my generation at all. And I realize that. And, I'm not like super religious or anything. I just like, I know that I knew always that once I entered that level of vulnerability with someone, I was going to be fucking attached, and then there's that trust, there's all that stuff. I cannot fathom having one without the other. I'm interested to hear more. Okay. I'm stoked.
So wait, this is what we're going to do.
Okay.
My past guest, Miss Kristen Bologna, wrote the introduction to Love and Poetry. So what we're going to do, Matt, is bring Kristen in because I'm sure she has a lot of opinions and she thinks she knows everything. I mean, she has a lot of opinions. So introducing Miss Kristen Bologna.
Hi.
Kristen, welcome to the show.
Hello.
Thanks for having me again.
Thank you for coming on the show. So I'm sure you hear our conversation. So what we're going to do is get your opinion on what we're talking about in terms of, because both of you are younger than me. I'm old and I'm okay with being old. So I have old school values and I don't expect people nowadays to carry the values I have. But you both are in relationships. So Kristen, what's kind of your take on this?
I mean, I feel like it's very different. So not very different, but I feel like I can see how people who are necessarily older haven't gone on dates, and I can see how from now, I mean, like obviously with Rona going around, things are different. But like some people, like the dating culture is just not there. It's not for them. Like I was in the dating culture for a while before my now current boyfriend, and it sucked. It was horrible. It was the worst thing in the freaking world. Like you don't like it's changed from like meeting people like in actual places, in bars, in restaurants, through friends, to literally everything's behind a phone. And like you message back and forth with somebody for like however many days or whatever it is, and then you meet them in person and they're like totally different. And that's just like sometimes that like ruins it for everybody. It's just like, nope, don't want to do this anymore, can't do it, I'm over it. And like going into it, you don't necessarily know what you're getting into. Is it a date? Is it am I just meeting somebody? Are we gonna be friends? Are we gonna be more than friends?
Well, there's
like,
also this
know.
emphasis on labels and this like lack of definition where, there is this like barrier of entry where you have to have this uncomfortable, vulnerable conversation to understand where you're at. But to get to that level of vulnerability, you need to get to know each other a bit, which is kind of this contradiction.
Yeah, and everybody gets to know each other now behind phones. So it's like that other thing of like, well, I could hide certain things until I meet them in person. And just because I meet you in person doesn't mean I'm going to air everything out to you. But like you have this sense of like, oh, I have comfort behind my phone. Like I don't have to give everything away at first. I can see what they're going for and then kind of figure it out from there.
Do we define dates when we say never been on a date? Do we define that as I'm meeting up with a person for the first time in a public space and I'm like interviewing them? Or do we define that as being taken out to dinner at any point, whether it's a stranger or your significant other? Like that
you're supposed to keep dating after you start going out.
Yeah, like when we say no date ever, that includes that definition as well. Just never been taken anywhere and treated nicely.
Like they'll go, oh, we went to Applebee's. That's not a date. Did you plan a date? Did you put effort into the date?
I mean, but for some people that could be considered.
That could be a date.
Why?
That could be considered a date.
Why?
I think the question is, what is their unique individual definition of a date?
Why?
Why is
been
that
on a date?
Like,
considered?
why is it a date? Well, it
Yeah, why
depends
is it
on
a
what the
date?
conversation is, I think, and what, like, how much,
You're wrong,
interaction
Carolyn.
there is. And food is a thing that often is involved in a date. I mean, I know people that have been on dates to Olive Garden. Olive Garden is like Applebee's,
But-
but Italian. Does that not
but
You
count?
could even like, I've gone
But
on
I'm not-
dates at like a coffee shop. It's not.
Yeah.
I don't think it has to be the place.
I've been on a date
I'm not
at a
talking.
shitty
But I'm
little
not
burger
talking
joint.
about a
Like,
place. I'm not referring to a place. I'm
So
talking
what-
about the
what is it
effort
about
and planning that go into it that make it a date.
but what if they love Applebee's, Akili?
But
What's
it's
so
not-
bad about
but it's
fucking
not-
Applebee's?
It's not about the place. It's about the effort and planning that go into it and what happens during the date.
Okay, so define a date by, like, let's nail down
Oh,
a definition for the term for everyone's understanding forever.
For me,
Yeah,
me?
what is your definition of a date?
my first date with Patty, we went to a poetry reading. We went to Brooklyn. I picked her up. I planned it. We went there. It's something I like to do. We went to dinner at Applebee's. You said it's the place. I said it's not about the place. It's about the effort and planning.
I'm sorry, but when you described something that isn't a date, your definition of that was some people go to Applebee's.
No,
What
I'm
is
not.
the Applebee's hate?
So then, what would you consider not a date? It's
Applebee's.
Going to Applebe's and
but
getting
you still
a
have to plan to
22.
meet up to go there.
But is that a date? That's a meet. What did you just call it?
But it depends on how you look at it. If it's somebody
Yeah.
who you're interested in, then
I'm
it's
with Kristen
date.
here.
You could be with Kristen. But again, I don't expect you to look at it the way I look at it because my idea of a date is different.
Okay,
I think
so going off of the theme that men and women have different perspectives, men watching this, please comment, is Applebee's a date?
It's not.
What is your
about-
definition of a date? Let me change
It's
the
not
question.
about
What
the
is your
place,
definition
though.
of a date? I would like to see other people's
I said it wasn't a
definitions
place.
of what a date is and isn't.
Why would I take credit?
That is
and
my
say it's not a date?
We're gonna roast you forever about Applebee's, just so you're
We're going
aware.
on about
So
this.
that's
I love
not going
Applebee's.
anywhere.
Side note, I love Applebee's.
Dude,
So
half apps are the
now-
vibe. Anyway, moving on.
So to wrap it up, what I'm talking about is guys not making the effort to plan a night. You're not
But
going to
does
do it
the
every
guy
day. and
always
all that
have to
stuff.
plan the night?
Well, then you could be wrong. It's okay.
I think a date is just about setting aside time to spend time and connect with each other. That's, and sometimes you have a really crazy week and neither of you can really plan something. So you just designate the time and then you get in the car and you just figure it out. But I don't think that disqualifies it.
Well, for you.
That's my hot take.
And that's fine. But if I plan a date, I'm going to plan a date.
Well,
You can ask my wife. Since you know what? You can ask Patty. So this is what we're going to do. I'm going to flip the camera and we're going to talk to Patty and LaToya. Are you doing it too? Then you're going to have to move over. No? I knew you were going to say that. All right. I'm going to flip the camera. Give me 1 second.
Let's go see her.
You ready?
Yeah.
Oh,
this should be funny. I know, right? We got no comments.
Here, Mom, move
You
that
really don't
camera
have
a little bit.
I'm moving it up. So, welcome to the show. I got to hold it up.
Hello.
That's all right. So Patty, they're arguing with me about dates. Have you been on a date before me?
I have, but it wasn't a first date. It was like later on in the relationship.
Carolyn said hello, beautiful.
Hi, Carolyn.
So go ahead. You guys were arguing with me. Go ahead.
So what do you guys define as a date?
A date, if it's planned out and it's,
You sound like something Achilles said.
No, yeah, but
Okay, so we see why you guys work.
So, like, we would do the invites or Facebook. It'll be like mad goofy, but let it know. Like, I say, we went to a melting pot. Didn't tell him where we was going. Be prepared 6 o'clock on a Saturday. Give him 2 weeks notice before or a week before. Let him know, like, this is where we going. Don't make no plans. Where we going? I'm not telling you. We're just going to go out on a date. But with this newer generation, it's not like that anymore. It's, all right, so where we going? What are we doing? We're going to go eat. We're just talking. Okay. But a lot of guys choose Applebee's because it's cheaper. A lot of guys choose Applebee's because it's
Me too. I'm team cheaper.
Do you think Applebee's is a date?
I mean,
it's a brand new guy, right? And he want to take you to Applebee's. Would you consider that a
He's
date?
like, hey,
yes. I mean, I
Loving
went on
to
a
get
date with
to
a
know
guy.
you.
We
Let's
had
go
good
to
conversation, but we had got McDonald's, and it was just me and him conversating.
That's not a date.
see, I think it is. I think it is. You're spending time together. You're getting to know each other. Kristen, you look like you're on my side here.
I think so, because I mean, if you think about it, we always, I mean, like when we think of dates, we always think of like, okay, you're going to get food, you're going to get drinks, you're going to get coffee. Maybe you'll do something before, but like technically a date could be like, hey, let's go walk in the park today. Technically that
That's
could be
part
a
of
date.
the
You're
date.
going to go for, you have an activity,
That's
but that
part
could be
of the
your
date.
whole date.
Why isn't it a full date? Just
Why
walking
is it
in a park.
Why you gotta have
Just
a whole
4-course
Why do
meal?
you have to go out and
we
do something
eat.
extra?
dress up and
Do you know me?
No, I'm just
But let's
saying,
think about a
that's
first
what
date.
it
Let's
is.
think about somebody who goes
I'm
goes on a first date. I don't want to spend 5 hours with this person I've never met before on a
Exactly.
first date. I want an
Amen.
hour, 2 hours top.
'Cause
Unless
if
I
I don't
really
like you,
like them.
Okay,
I
so
don't want to
all right.
stay there for 5 hours.
All right, hold
Have
on.
a
I gotta turn
full-course
the
meal.
camera around. Hold on. Sorry. One second.
Achilles like, hang
So-
on, I'm cutting
He's
off
like,
his
wait a
talk
second.
right
I don't
now.
want to spend time fighting somebody I just met.
So now,
Course meal.
this brings me to the part. Carolyn, relax. So this brings me to the part I'm talking about. What did you say? I don't want to spend 5 hours because what?
Just
If
in
I,
case I don't
if
like
I,
them.
so if
In
I
case I
met
don't
somebody
like you.
online,
So
yeah.
Well, you
People
want to
are
have an
different
out
person.
too. Like, if you're meeting some rando, you talk to your friends and you be like, this is where I'm going, and the code word is
Yep.
papaya.
Yep.
And if I text
Yep.
you papaya,
Gotta
you
be
call me and tell me my
GPS.
fish is on fire and that you need me to get the fuck out of here. And
Yep.
that's just a safety thing too.
that's fine. So
But like, okay, my
Carolyn,
partner and I have
you're
been
wrong.
together
So okay,
almost
so
7
hold on.
years. No, Carolyn's right. I'm going to tell you why. We've been together almost 7 years. Life gets in the way. Shit gets busy. You don't always spend time together. And sometimes, like in the day-to-day of life and like the stress, you just,
Mhm.
you're not on the same page. You're just not there. So every
Mhm.
Tuesday night, because that's just what works, from like
Date night.
6 o'clock on, it's date night. Because that doesn't
Yep.
necessarily mean that we plan something elaborate or we do shit. Sometimes we just sit in our fucking pajamas, order some
But you did
takeout,
plan it.
and
We planned today.
but it's
And hold
sometimes we
on.
don't.
All right, hold on. So the second part is the wooing. So if you're going out with me, right? If I've already spent time getting to know you, talking to you via text on the phone, then when we go out, it's gonna feel what? Start to the end. It's gonna feel natural. It's gonna feel
Original thought.
natural. So now, let me explain. Because when we went for our first date, that was our first date, and our first time hanging out. Me and Patty went to the city. We went to Brooklyn. I picked her up. All that stuff. Why wasn't it an issue? Because we took time to do what?
But y'all was work
To get to know each other.
We-
So it felt natural.
But when we worked together, we didn't talk like that. And Patty didn't.
I
like
just
me.
think like
She said you start to life, so it's okay.
you
So-
have to make time, whether it's new or
Yeah.
it's a long-standing
Mhm.
relationship, to just be together and be present in that. It's
Mhm.
increasingly hard to be present with social media, with
Mhm.
all this shit going on in the world. Just blocking off time to just be in the same space physically
Mhm.
and mentally and do
Mhm.
something, even if that something is just like sitting staring at a fucking wall. And you can make a game time decision about that. It doesn't have to be planned in
You
advance.
can.
It's just about making
can.
time and existing together in a way that is
Mhm.
present and allows you to connect. And that's, I think, that's a date. Mitch is concerned about being deemed a stalker.
Because he's a
Um,
stalker. He's a stalker. No, I'm just kidding. That's my best friend. That's my guy. That's Mitch. So
well, from
so
a
hold
girl's
on.
perspective, you're always told to meet in a public space just in case. That is a thing.
You
I
never
understand.
get in the vehicle on a
I
first date.
understand.
Never.
Yeah.
And what you're saying makes sense for you. What I'm saying makes sense for me.
For me and Kristen. Just saying.
That's fine. But the point is that you and your boyfriend, and Kristen, you and your boyfriend are on the same page about what you're going to do together and how you're going to spend time. So a lot of the things that go together are you being on the same page, which comes back to my point of the book. It doesn't matter what I think a date is and what you guys think a date is. What matters is you guys are going on kind of dates you want to go on.
Mm.
If
It's
that
about
means-
compatibility and
If
being
that
on the
means
same
going to
page.
Wendy's and getting a 4 for $4, which I'm a huge fan of, if that's Wendy's going and getting a 4 for $4, that's Wendy's going to get a 4 for $4, right? So the point of the book, and again, saying you're wrong is kind of more just to spark the argument than saying you're wrong. You're not wrong because what you think about the date is fine. But my interpretation of a date and Patty's interpretation of the date have dovetailed together. So that's why.
Well, that's good, right? That means
And-
that you guys are on the same page and you're really working together to make
Yeah.
sure that you have space for what you both define as a relationship, as a
Yes.
date in your relationship. I'm glad I can speak English, so
Yes, but that's
sorry.
perfect. So,
so that's good.
and that's
I
the
mean,
point of the book. It's not me telling you the way you do things are wrong if it's successful for you. The problem is that not enough people have alternative ideas of what a date is because they don't even know what it is.
Well, this kind of dialogue rarely exists. This is exactly why this book needs to exist, because it's about exposing yourself to different perspectives and stories.
Yes. And a lot of people don't do that. But I digress because we clearly need to have a relationship discussion in person.
Yeah, wow. We all have a lot of opinions.
But that's what it's about. It's about the opinion. It's about the getting to know each other and saying, okay, well, what you think is right, what Kristen thinks is right sometimes, what Carolyn thinks is right. But again, you're also talking about Carolyn's in a long-term relationship. Kristen's in a long-term relationship. Bologna's in a long-term relationship. You're in a long-term relationship. So you had a chance to establish ground rules and foundations.
Yeah. I mean, when it comes to the dating scene,
it's rough.
I haven't dated since I was 18. I don't remember any of that. I was thinking about this last night. Like, we were watching How I Met Your Mother. I don't know if anyone likes that show. And I was thinking about how I never was like in the bar scene dating ever. Right. Like, that's not an experience I'm ever going to have. Like, it's just weird to think about. And like, that's such a thing, that's it's a part of the world that I just never saw. And then there are people that's all they see. Like, it's just perspectives.
Well, that's like, but that's like now too, with Rona still going around, like that's a different type of dating too now. Granted, like it's still the online dating scheme, but like, are you doing Zoom dates your first date? Are you staying 6 feet apart? Are you wearing masks so now you can't read facial expressions?
Do you got to see each other's vaccination cards? Like
that's a totally different realm of dating too at this rate now, and it's going to constantly keep changing. In 2 years, it'll be something different.
There was a story I saw that. Oh, sorry, Kelly. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Sorry,
please.
I could talk.
You're the host. I apologize.
There's a story that I saw. I don't know if you guys heard about this. It was somewhere in New York City, and there was a guy, and he thought that a girl in the building next door was really cute, and he took a drone and like sent her a letter.
Is this the one
and
on the
his
roof?
number? Yeah.
Yep.
And they started to have FaceTime dates, and they lived in buildings across the street from each other, but because of the COVID restrictions, they didn't actually meet in person. And then at one point, he rented a big like gerbil bubble and went out with her in it so that they could still have that separation. It's a different world. It is.
That's hustling.
But please say what you were gonna say. Yeah, it really
That's
is.
hustling. That's what I'm talking
That guy
about.
was working
See?
hard.
You know what that's called? That's called wooing. John Bent, you are correct. Always a bastion of knowledge, sir.
It's true.
4 for 4 is amazing. You saw that, Catherine?
Yeah, that was such a cute story.
We don't agree with Carolyn, ever. So now, Nah, that's one of my really good friends. I'm just messing with her.
I know.
So we do have to say that the books are available to purchase, and you can see how it sparks discussion, and that's how we reach solutions. Because one of the things I do want to point out about the book is it's not me trying to tell you how to have a relationship. Did you guys get that interpretation?
No, it's much
Mhm.
more like,
Resonating
here is a
with
bunch
it.
of information. Do what you want with it.
Yeah, definitely
So,
being able to like
Kristen,
resonate. Yes.
what was your interpretation of the book, since we didn't actually get to ask you that question before
Oh
you
yeah,
go?
sorry.
We jumped right into just discussing everything else.
What is a date?
So I loved it. I mean, when I first started to read it, I loved like the separation of like the stories first, and like the first few stories reading it, I was like, dealt with that, I know about that. Like I was so able to connect with so many different stories, even if it was just like little parts of the stories. Especially from like being in the dating scene for so long. Like a lot of things just stuck and sat in it. And it was like nice to almost know, like, even though like I'm not in the dating scene anymore, like, hey, a lot of other people go through the same exact things that I went through, but like nobody talks about those things necessarily. Like you go to your friends and you're like, oh my God, I just had this horrible date because of this, and this. But like, who's to say, like half of my friends never went through that because they met their significant others and that was like the one. It was like one of the first couple of people they started dating. So like they didn't go through everything else. So like even though like these are people I didn't know, it was still just nice to kind of have that like, oh, somebody else went through this and I'm not the only one kind of thing.
I will
Cool
say
read.
too, like what you said about the separation between like first the stories, then the poetry. It's almost like the book uses the stories to get you in a perspective where you can really appreciate the poetry. It's like it gets you ready for it in a way that's really cool. That was a good point.
Yeah, a lot of the poems. Well, I don't want to say the afterthoughts, but when I finished Heir to the Throne, I was still writing. So I normally, when I'm done with a book, I normally stop writing. So when I got to that point, I was like, oh, there's still a lot of poems coming out. And I was like, I got to finish this book. And it was just something that was like an albatross around my neck. But what I was finding that I've been talking to a lot of people about relationships and issues like that. And it's just something that's so prevalent. And even the stories, they sound exaggerated, but they're so common.
Well, it's something everybody deals with at some point in their life in one way or another. It's a uniting aspect of the human experience.
Yes. Well, Ms. Kristen, I thank you for coming on the show. I appreciate it. You were amazing. I thank you for writing the introduction.
Of course.
And you were the second person to buy a book, so I also thank you for that. I now free you to go off into the world of babysitting, and we'll see you on Everyday Experts soon. Thank you, dear.
Yeah. Thank you.
Nice meeting you.
You too.
Yeah, thanks for ganging up on Akili. That's okay. But I'm used to that. Right? That's all right. So now,
yes. Next.
the boss is going to come on so you can discuss chapter 4. But first, I'm going to read chapter 4. So, like, it's broken up into chapters, but every chapter is a story. Okay, so every chapter is a story. I didn't draw them. So, I'm going to read you Jane's story, and I'm going to explain to you kind of how the book's set up. So it's a story, and then I'm going to flip the camera around, and you're going to speak to Latoya, and you're going to speak to Patty about their opinions on the actual story and what they thought.
Can do.
Okay, let's go.
I'm excited.
So chapter 4 is Jane's story. This brings me to Jane's story because this was the one that was the catalyst for the book, actually. So when I heard Jane's story, I was like, oh, this is how I should write the book, because it was different before. It was a little bit more formulaic. And then when I got to the story, I was like, oh, I should write stories. It's a different perspective. So tears streamed down her eyes as she recounted story after story of how he treated her like shit. He was always yelling, cursing, and putting her down. She looked me in the eyes and said, I tried to stand up for myself and set boundaries, but all he did was insult me. He didn't like her standing up for herself. So he knocked her down. This was my second month of seeing Jane. Her boyfriend was always drinking, as they were always fighting. He was going to meetings and seeing his sponsor, but there was something within himself he was not happy about. Why do I say that? Because he continued to drink. There was something she was unhappy with herself about. Why? Because she couldn't let go of him. She could not pull herself away from him, and she was now slowly crumbling because of it all. All of her actions and decisions revolved around him and trying to please him. I had spoken to her incessantly about doing things for herself. However, I don't think she got it or wanted to get it. Jane worked harder and harder to get this guy to fall in love with her. Or should I say, show that he was capable of loving her. However, he never did. She was trying to change him by getting him to stop drinking. She was trying to change herself into something she couldn't be. When you try to change yourself so much, you eventually lose your direction. Jane lost her direction and in turn lost herself. Now she was looking for a new relationship. After she broke up with her boyfriend and started working on herself, for herself, she found a new man. She found a new Jane swimming in a sea of doubt and despair that she was muddled in. You could be saying that the fact Jane's boyfriend drank probably made things worse. I would say that the alcohol made things worse by making the problems bigger. The things that were wrong with Jane's relationship were, in a sense, cracks in her foundation. There are Janes all over the place, and many of them need to take a step back and look at what is really going on. Jane's story is very simple, but so many people deal with addiction in their relationship. So many people deal with substance use, deal with anything that we got into a fight about money, but is the fight really about money? No, it's about trust. And it's about trust because I don't like you because something happened. So before I finish my spiel, Miss Rachel, I'm going to turn it over and you're going to talk to the ladies again because people don't believe that Patty puts up with me all the time, but she does.
Hi, guys.
Right.
Hi.
So here's my first question to you guys about that story. So to all of the people out there who can relate to that story of being in almost like this borderline abusive cycle of trying to force someone to love them because, you know, they can't really get out of it, and someone who kind of keeps repeatedly showing that they're not really in a place where they're capable of giving that love. What kind of advice would you give to them?
Love yourself. You have to work on yourself before you call out someone else. If you don't love yourself, then
You're going to put up with a lot of BS, to be honest, if you don't love yourself.
Exactly. You won't even know how to know the definition of love if you don't love yourself. Because you could go through abuse, mental abuse, verbal abuse, emotional abuse. And if you don't love yourself first, then you're not going to know that that's wrong.
Mm-hmm. That's the thing is they start to believe it as true. And when they look in the mirror, they see that person's words instead of the person that's there. That's a really good point. So what do you guys think about that story?
Gene should have left a long time ago.
You just state the obvious.
But yeah, she should have left a long time ago, and I feel like she can't really blame his alcohol because you should have known about his alcohol use from the get-go. You was in a whole relationship with this man. You should have known his alcohol use from the get-go. You was just trying to find something that wasn't there and made it seem like it was there. If that makes sense.
Dropping knowledge.
It do, but she was also in love with him. So love sometimes can be blind.
Yes, it can.
And she thought that she could change him. You can't change nobody that does not want to be changed. She should have just got up.
He has to change himself first.
Walked away. And if he was supposed to be the one, he would have came back after he cleaned his act up. But it goes back to she has to learn how to love herself. Because once she left him, she found someone different who was going to appreciate her.
Well, I think some people don't even know that that kind of person is out there. Like some people have been in a situation their whole lives, whether it's from a really toxic situation at home as a kid or bad friendships growing up, where they don't know how they should be treated. They don't know the standard to which they should hold. And that's you know, they can't even identify the problem then.
Because if you didn't grow up with a mother and a father in the same house with loving showing each other how they love each other. So when you get older and you go into your own relationship, if you seen your father beating your mother, you're going to think that's okay. If you seen your father being alcoholic and abusing the mother or a child, anybody, they're going to think that that's okay. So they go to those type of relationships instead of saying, no, this was wrong. That's totally wrong. I shouldn't be following my mother and father footsteps.
Right.
But if you grew up without a father or a mother, you're missing the love, the affection that you're supposed to see. You only see one. So if you just grew up with a mother, it's like, okay, something that your father should be teaching you, you don't know what that is. So you go out looking for it and you're doing it all wrong. Or if you grew up without a mother's love, you just have your dad, you're going to treat a woman wrong because you didn't have your mother there. So
I think single parents can instill that in their kid, but they have to really make it a point to have those conversations. And I think that a lot of the time with kids, people aren't comfortable talking about those topics out loud. So yeah, it is a lot more of like, you see what you see and that's it. And you take from that what you can understand from it. And then from that experience, you develop your own opinions and kind of understanding of what's right and wrong. And that's what you tolerate. And that's it.
That's true.
Anything else you guys want to add about the story?
Anything weird about the story, Jane?
Do you guys have, do you have Janes in your life? What happened to the Janes in your work?
Rachel asked, do you have Janes in your life?
Do I have Janes in my life?
Line?
I could say I was a Jane because I settled for less because I grew up without a father. So I did the verbal abuse. I dealt with it because I didn't know any better, because it's not only coming out of his mouth, but you had people that you call family or friends come out their mouth. So I adjusted to that. Then I was like, wait, no, this is wrong. Or you have people, you just love a person so much that you just settle for less, thinking that they would change, and they just don't change. You have to leave a situation to better yourself.
What was that moment like where you realized what you deserved?
I would say I was just young and stupid. No one educated me on anything. It was more of me finding it, learning things on my own. No one taught me anything. So it was like I was just young and stupid, making dumb mistakes. And I just had to learn as I get older.
Was there a certain big moment where it was like, oh shit, and you kind of figured it out? Or was it like a gradual growing into knowing it?
It was an oh shit moment. I'm not gonna lie.
How comfortable do you feel talking about it? If it's too vulnerable, I respect that.
I could talk about two because they're both my children's father. The first one, it was the verbal abuse, but I grew up with the verbal abuse, so I just took it. So it was like, you're a bad mother, you ain't shit. I got you're gonna suffer for the rest of your life. I got all of that. With the second one, I was working 3 jobs, 2 kids. I was doing everything all by myself when he didn't do nothing. I was like, you know what? I can't. I'm killing myself very slowly. Like, this is not acceptable. So I was like, you know what? It's time to work on myself and do me. I could do bad all by myself. I don't need nobody else to bring me down.
Hell yeah.
Start loving myself, because if I don't love myself, how am I supposed to love anyone else, especially my kids? How am I supposed to show them what love is if I can't love myself?
That's huge. Because just like how you didn't have that example in your life, you now have the pressure of being that example for your kids. So it's like, how do I set that example for them? And how do I teach them what they should and shouldn't tolerate? I mean, amazing respect for you for getting yourself out of those situations and not tolerating shit anymore. That's a really beautiful thing and a big testament to how strong you are. I think, in those scenarios where there's a toxic partner, the hardest part to admit is to know that you would be a better partner to yourself than the partner that you have. Like, you would be better off alone.
And it's not always easy. Unfortunately, we see a lot of Janes than what we want to admit to. I could be sitting right next to a Jane right now. We never know, because a lot of people, especially females, are scared to.
She's looking at you like, what?
I'm not saying you are a Jane, but I'm saying you never know at work, at school, anywhere. You could be sitting anywhere. You never know what, especially females, because females are so, they hold everything in and they're scared to share their stories because unfortunately, females knock other females down, males knock females down. So females are the most ones to hold everything in. You will never know what someone's going through until they open their mouth. But there's more Janes than we want to admit to it.
Well, I think the hope is that books like this, stories like this, getting out there will help the Janes basically realize that there's no shame in opening up. And, you know, there's a lot of empowerment that can come from that, you know, as long as they surround themselves with the right people. Which is as long as, you know, it's kind of a big deal to figure out. But once you do, like, removing that stigma is going to make a big difference, you know? And I think the best way to do that is by sharing vulnerably, which you just did. Thank you so much.
Sure. Do you have any Jane stories over there? Or no?
That was a real deep sigh. That was like from like the soul. Like,
well, I know, like my best friend, she was with this guy for 10, on and off for 10 years. And he just kept cheating and she just kept taking it. I think it was about 5 times he cheated and she just kept taking it back. And now this year, he did the ultimate. He broadcasted it all over social media. And she was like, enough is enough. She burned all his shit that she got for him. Because in the picture, it was like a day before his birthday, whatever, she got him something. Then on the birthday day, he spent it with the other chick. But wearing the clothes she bought him.
Oh, hell no. That's
absolutely
just
not.
Like one of her guy friends and seeing it and asking her, are you all two okay? And she was like, what do you mean? We're good, whatever. She showed her the Facebook page and he's dancing in the girl's room in his drawers, so you know they must have just done it.
Meditating.
Yeah, it was wild. So she was like, yeah, this is enough. She tried calling him. He wouldn't answer the phone. Now he's not explaining. He told the other girl a bunch of lies. She's gonna get contacted by her.
And then the two girls, you know, usually they would kind of pit against each other.
Like, yeah, them two even had a conversation. It was like, oh, he told me that you was gonna call me and say a bunch of mess and blah 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 blah. And then she was like, what are you talking about? She was like, oh, we're together. We've been together for such and such months. They've been together for such and such years. And I'm just like, you should have been done with this by the time the first time he cheated. But everybody says love is blind. So I ain't that blind for 5 times, but I'm a digress.
Yeah.
It wasn't my situation. So now she's moving forward and she's just worried about herself and she's bossing up and she doesn't really care at this point anymore. She had her moment when she found out. I said, it's okay to cry. It's okay to let it out. You wasted your time for 10 plus years. You're allowed to
I don't think it was a waste, though. You grow and you learn your worth. You know?
She didn't want to cry. She was like, I'm not going to cry. I don't care. That you care. You care. You invested 10 plus years into someone. You care. It's okay to cry. Just cry, let it out. I'm right here. If you need a shoulder to cry on, fine, cool. Cry it out.
You just
then
gotta
after
learn
that,
from that lesson.
Get up and move forward.
Yep.
It's like feel your feelings, and then
get up,
grow
move
from
forward,
it.
and continue on.
Absolutely.
They held you back for 10 years, but don't let them keep holding you back forever.
Yeah. Facts. Yeah. That's liberating to just kind of cut the cord there. Then. Jesus.
Cry. Let it out.
Amazing. All right, I'm gonna stop.
10 years.
All right, people.
10.
Thank you.
I'm gonna flip them around.
And he was older.
I hate old guys. They're so ridiculous.
Akili, shut up.
Just
Shut
hate
up.
you all.
I am. Thank you. Don't hate. Sometimes it takes building up the hatred to move on. Sometimes, bring up what Z said, John. Matt, sorry. Sometimes it takes building up the hatred to move on, and sometimes you go do bullshit because someone in your pathetic.
TT?
Yeah, Catherine said that she was going to do that. All right. Thank you, ladies. Thank you, ladies, for sharing.
Shall we read some poetry?
I mean, if we must.
Feel it? What do you think?
Yeah, you know. So we'll do this. I'll read a poem and then you can ask me questions about it. We can do that if you want.
Perfect.
Since
That
we
sounds
talked
great.
a lot about the relationships part, how I got to the poetry part was, like I said, I had a lot of poems I was still writing, but they kind of go hand in hand. There's a lot of people that don't know how to get the emotion out. So the poem that's on the cover is called "Normal" or some shit like it.
Oh, shit.
Normal or
this
some
one.
shit like it. Cat crashing through hospital doors, handcuffed to your misgivings. Voices telling you what to do, but these aren't the fake ones. The hallucinations. Keep trying to shove meds down the throats of closed-minded people, but who needs meds? Who needs you? It's human nature to try to fix, but you can't fix what you didn't break. And you can't know where the pieces broke off from. Looking at you, looking at me, wanting to say something profound, putting you, me back together again. But what if this is as good as you get? Sitting in the back of the cop car, the smartest one in the room, all the rest of you, us, the normal ones, or some shit like that. Still lying to yourself, me, or some shit like that. Pretending that normal isn't just a dryer setting or a vile made-up word.
I love that last line about the dryer. Because it is.
Yeah.
There's no such thing as normal. What is normal? Who defined normal? It's the biggest load of bullshit I've ever heard. What inspired this one?
A little bit stuff going on with my sister, but a lot of it was just actually that line from Suicide Squad, the first one, when Harley had the fantasy sequence, and she goes, and she was talking to whoever, she was saying, normal's just a set on the dryer. But in reality,
Was this the new Suicide Squad we're talking?
The old one, the first one.
The old one.
OG Suicide Squad. So what happens is people have this idea, this belief, normal. I'm normal. I want to be normal. What is it? How do you be normal?
I don't think there's really an actual thing that is normal. Yeah, normal or some shit like that. Exactly. Jeez.
It's not even something that's quantifiable, because everybody has bullshit. Everybody has stuff that they go through, feelings, emotions, whatever. And that's, even if you look at the diversity of the stories in the book, there's none that's exactly the same. And there's also one story where the boyfriend pulled the gun on the girlfriend because he was mad at her, pulled the shotgun out. And it's just like, well, how do you get to that?
That one was awful.
How do you get to that place? To somebody you love. I love you, but I'm going to pull a gun out on you. It doesn't work like that.
Could not tell you that one. Nope. That's another big nope. Tell me more about the line, you can't fix what you didn't break.
What do we try to do? Even, Patty and LaToya said it. What do you spend a lot of your time in your relationship trying to do? Change the person you're with? Or get we date. A lot of times we date what somebody could be. We date their potential. We date, if he only had this, or if she only had that, or if they only did this, they'd be perfect.
And then there's that morning, like that we talked about earlier, when you realize that person was just kind of a made up fantasy and not the person that you're actually with. Yeah.
You're dating an illusion. You're dating something that's not real. If I'm not dating the person I'm with, then I'm never happy. I'm dating, when you talk about people who go through, it's terrible, but people who go through domestic violence, they get abused the whole time, And they'll always look at the moments where the person says they love them or make it up to them. But what about the moments when they're whooping their butt?
Well, I was actually thinking about that earlier because I was doing some reflecting on like things that friends are going through, and also just the book itself and things that we could talk about. And abuse cycles are so fucked because the good moments are why they keep coming back. If there weren't good moments, it would be easy to just pick up and leave, right? Because there's nothing keeping them there. It's like going to dinner every night and your whole plate is Brussels sprouts and there's like one piece of candy in the middle, and you just keep coming back and showing up for that one piece of candy, hoping it'll be there. You know, what are you gonna do? Just eat Brussels sprouts? I mean, people might like Brussels sprouts, so maybe that's a bad example, but I think they're fucking disgusting. Sorry.
Yeah. Amen.
But it's like, what, you're just gonna keep suffering through Brussels sprouts your entire life to eat one bite of candy when you can get away from the table and go get yourself some damn food and eat what you want? You know, we have the only finite resource we have on this planet is time. You can always make more money. Money is this bullshit that they fucking print every day and they made up, and it's, you know, they say money doesn't grow on trees. As a matter of fact, it fucking does. So that's bullshit. But time
worse than mine.
Yeah, sorry.
No, you're good.
Sorry.
No, speak your truth. Speak your truth.
But time you cannot get back. Time comes and goes. We have a start date and an end date, you know, and maybe not everyone believes that, but I do. And you cannot regain moments of your life. So where you invest your time, that is the most profound, you know, place that you could hold in regard, because you're basically saying, I'm giving part of my life to you. So
and a lot of people, it's more than part.
Yeah, some people it's all.
It's 75, 80% when everything I do revolves around the person I'm with. And part of it's cultural, part of it is ideologies. And what you find with these, you know, these sad abuse cycles, I'm just living to make the person happy enough so they don't beat me up.
Or because they have such a damaged sense of self-worth and such a heightened sense of responsibility for the happiness of everyone around them that they're afraid to hurt that person's feelings when that person has no problem whooping them every fucking day. Pardon my French again. Ooh, she's going.
Yeah.
But that's, you know,
it's
messed up.
It is, and it's sad because what you see, like, when I wrote Normal and I said the smartest one in the room, you're so much smarter than that most of the time. And you feel it in your soul. You feel it in your gut. Oh, this isn't right. This doesn't. And what do? We spend so much time trying to save and repair and fix cracks in our relationships. And what people don't know how to do. And there's nothing wrong with fighting for your relationship. I'm not saying don't do that. When you've been fighting 10, 15, 20, 30, at what point do you say when?
Well, I think it's about what you're fighting about. What is the fight? Is the fight stop putting your dirty laundry next to the hamper and put it in, for God's sake? Or is the fight, I have worth as a human being? Because those are two very different arguments. Yep. And I think the other thing, too, with these abuse cycles is that gaslighting is such an aggressive part of that cycle where these people, these victims, are convinced that their thoughts and feelings and perspectives are invalid to the point where they don't believe themselves. So when they feel like it's time, I'm fed up, enough is enough, they're so ingrained with the gaslighting that they start to do it to themselves. And they're like, well, maybe it's not that bad. Maybe I'm being dramatic. You know, it could be worse.
You rationalize.
And then you do the dance again. Yeah.
You rationalize because we're supposed to be in a relationship. And we're supposed to be in a relationship, and then we're supposed to get married. Then we're supposed to be in a relationship, we're supposed to get married, supposed to have kids. We're supposed to be in a relationship, we're supposed to get married, supposed to have kids. All these things you're supposed to do. I know you're not having kids, Patty. Thank you. Neither am I.
I saw this thing the other day that was basically, it was talking about the pressure of what's next within our society, and kind of the expectation that we all have to graduate from step to step to step. And it's ingrained in our society in a lot of ways, right? We have the academia of, You graduate from kindergarten and then elementary school and then middle school and then high school and then college and then this and then that. And then you get a job and you get promotions and blah, blah, blah. You have to keep moving up. You can't just be happy where you are. You have to keep going to continue to validate yourself. And then you have your relationships. Why are you single? You're dating someone. Why aren't you engaged? You're engaged. Why aren't you married? You're married. Why aren't you having kids? Why don't you have your house yet? Why aren't you having more kids? When can you just exist and be happy? At what point can you just be content with where you are and who you are and just live your damn life? If you land in a spot where you're happy, why isn't that enough? Because if you're investing your time somewhere where you're content, that's investing the most important thing in the most important thing. And we are conditioned to feel like that's not enough.
You know what? That's a great transition into the next poem. Look at you.
Hey.
This is called Coldest Mornings. Coldest Mornings. Colder mornings when I don't see you. Longer goodbyes. Sadness when I don't hear from you. Words need to cry. Missing you most minutes of most hours. Looking for you in places you used to populate. Hoping to see your face when I know I will not. And I do not know the words I want to say or feel. And feelings are melted away. You're so far. Feels like I walked right out of heaven. Woke up to a cold pillow. Woke up to a cold hand. I was holding my own hand. You aren't in your spot. You aren't rolling over into me. Tears go cold. I'm wondering why. I left my bed. I left my heart right next to you when you walked away.
For the first half, I thought maybe it was about your dad. And then when we got to the part about beds, I was like, this is definitely not about your dad. All right, talk about the inspiration. Let's hear it.
Oh, some poems I just write because breakup poems are more fun to write than love poems.
Yeah, it does go like that, doesn't it? I wrote better songs when I was miserable. I noticed that about myself too. It's
my wife just asked me for the chat, so she said, so you don't love me?
Damn.
I like hard and intense and dark and strong emotion songs. I like poems like that too.
Me too.
When we get into moments of feelings and emotions, because when I first started writing, and a lot of people are like this, they have to write when they're in the feeling. I'm sad. I have to write a sad poem, or I'm happy. I got to write a happy poem, or whatever.
Well, the testament to a true writer is, can you immerse yourself in that just because you're inspired elsewhere?
Mm-hmm.
And can you channel that feeling into something sincere?
And a lot of what I do now is, okay, let me put myself into somebody's headspace. Sort of like the story. So that's kind of how, let me put myself in that headspace. If I was going through that, what would it be like? What's the worst feeling? I'm sure have you ever broken up with anybody?
Oh, yeah.
Yes, you did. That's right. Okay, Patty. Thank you. Patty raised her hand. So I've broken up with somebody, and the worst feeling is when you're used to them being there and they're not.
Amen.
Mm-hmm.
How do you deal with that? There's no book.
It takes a while.
How do you pick up broken pieces of yourself?
One day.
It's about learning to cope and learning to make peace with the decisions that you made and with the past that you had.
Mm-hmm.
And figuring out how to move forward from there.
Because we bring baggage into every relationship, whatever it is. And as you get older, it's like, oh, okay, I'm gonna bring this from.
It's like every year you pack a new one. Yeah.
Yeah. Even when you're in a healthy, normal, thriving relationship, because it's a marathon.
Normal.
Yeah. A normal relationship,
or some
normal,
shit
healthy
like
relationship. It. Yeah, or some shit like it. Exactly. You drag pieces of sadness, pieces of, okay, what this happened and that happened, and you bring it into you carry it with you. And then what happens when the pile gets so high that you just can't see over it, because there are times when people probably feel like that, and they're not alone. They're not broken up,
right.
But you just feel like that. because stuff happens where you go through emotions like this. How do you process
I feel like it's
it?
more lonely to feel lonely when you're with someone than when you're actually alone.
Because that's what builds up. And that's what pushes you. That's when you get that little tap on your shoulder, like, "Oh, hey, Akili, you're miserable. You're sad.
Surprise!
Hey, I'm here." But a lot of those emotions, I like to sit in those. I like to sit in those feelings, and I like to write about them because that's what people struggle with. That's what they can't express. This leads me to my next poem called Again.
Perfect.
Perfect. You're doing great.
Thank
Doing great.
He's smiling too much over there, Patty.
Shut up. 6,652,800 minutes since you left me. And every minute I've slowly crumbled more and more. Looking for pieces of you. Wishing I could have brought your heart with me. Trying to piece together every single one. Every single ounce of you and me. I try to reverb out of me. So that I can always have you literally in my heart. I tried to get away from the empty. But loneliness was walking right on its heels. It jumped me in my sleep. Invaded my dreams. They became nightmares of missing you, daymares, tears wrapped in fractured memories. And still know you, looking at fractions of the me I used to be, broken down 6 million times into the me I am now, or what's left, trying to be whole again. But the hurt in missing you won't subside, neither does my love. What do we do in relationships? We break up, we hold on. Maybe they'll come back. Maybe they'll like me still.
That one leaves me a little speechless.
And that one is like, again, when you dig into those emotions where it's like you just broke up with somebody and you want to call them, you want to text them, you're like, no, I shouldn't, but nobody listens.
It's so raw. Keep going. More poems.
More poems.
Keep them coming.
Oh, is Brandy in here? No, Brandy's not in here. I wrote a poem for Brandy. She's one of the guys one of the ladies in the chat. She lost her father.
Brandy's one of the guys.
One of the ladies I meant in the chat. She wrote it. She got really upset when the anniversary of her father's passing came up. So I wrote this for her, and it doesn't resonate with me as much as people would say, "Oh, you guys can't relate," but I understand how she hurts. So it's called Echoes. Today was the last day I heard you speak. Your voice echoes within my head, my heart, still singing in my ears. Your love that was unyielding still plays like a song on repeat while I hug you in my dreams. Crying tears that echoed through my heart, and I question every day if I'm going to be okay, like I said I would. I felt like the words burnt my tongue to say I would. When I never could be okay, you were strength epitomized, hard work in every sense, trying not to miss the heart of our home. Struggling to hold everyone else up, but I can't stand strong. Today, tomorrow I will start again. And there may be more tears that echo through my heart, that echo all the way up to heaven. As I hear him every day in my head, echoes of the man that loved me first, echoes of Dad.
Jesus. That's beautiful.
Thank
Also,
you,
I'm really sorry for your loss, Brandy. And I mean, Akili, that must have been really resonant too with your dad.
Yeah, it was.
To write.
Yes. I sadly had practice with my mom, so it wasn't easier. It was just more navigable, I was more able to navigate through it. So that was hard. Thanks, Gregory.
Sure.
Let's see.
Well, let's unpack that for a second. Hang on.
Go ahead. Do that.
So we have a poem about grief in a book about love.
Yep.
And grief and love are often two sides of the same coin, right? Because it's about having this intense feeling for someone.
Mm-hmm.
At some point in all of our lives, we all die alone. Let's just get depressing for a second. We all die. No one is going to come with us when we're dead. Like, it happens, whether it's if you believe in an afterlife and it's on your way there, you're by yourself or whatever it may be, you or your partner will die first. Like, someone will. So grief comes with love, right? No matter what, you are going to experience grief. What was the decision like to put a poem like that in the book that departed from the main theme in a way that still complemented it, but in a very intense way?
It felt right. The vibe felt like it. It felt like it resonated with me. the poems I write it doesn't have to be about me, but it has to vibe with my aura. And somebody has to understand where I'm coming from, or I understand where somebody else is coming from. Because if I write a poem about somebody else or writing their perspective, then that's a big part. That's a big part. So I like when poems hurt good.
Yeah, that one definitely hurts good.
Like, it's hard.
Very accurate.
It's rough. And I wish she was in the chat, but she's not. But it was sad when she was going through it, because it knocked her on her butt for a couple of weeks.
I could only imagine.
And it's always hard on her. And I would have asked her if it was okay to read it, but she wasn't in there, so I read it anyway.
I mean, it's in the book. People are going to read it no matter what. So
Yup.
It's out there. Hello, universe. Here's a poem.
Oh, where's your poem?
All right.
All right, hold on.
Let's hear another.
My Dinner Table, it's called. And this one is kind of straightforward. It's not necessarily a relationship one, but you'll get it. My dinner table.
Yes.
Sitting at my dinner table and never eat. I know what I bring. It's usually looking to bring something else. Sitting at my dinner table by myself, coming up with ideas, brainstorming with no one else. Sitting at my dinner table, still have yet to enjoy the meals I prepared for me. But I guess I like sitting at the dinner table, pouring drinks, smoking away fears, planning a lifetime of dreams.
Oh, I like that.
Oh, yeah.
Because it really is. It's, well, yeah, like, I don't like the others. I'm sitting here like, I like that one. And I feel like
you're like, they're terrible.
No, but you know what? I like how it draws attention to the fact that a setting that feels like it's really defined for one purpose is really just a backdrop for all of these different experiences.
Yep. And that's what it is. Because think about, it might not always be the dinner table, but the dinner table, a desk, you have some place where you go, where you sit there and you dream.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but like Langston Hughes said, what happens to a dream deferred? Does it wither up in the sun? Because if I don't chase the dream and actively participate in the dream, it's just there.
Right.
And it just sits there and it festers.
Yeah.
And then it's like,
no,
well,
very true.
What happens?
Let's get one more
thanks.
poem. And then go to our next adventure, which I think people will probably be into.
They probably will be into. You'll Never Leave.
Pick your favorite. Your very favorite.
Oh, my favorite.
Yeah. Well, read that one if you want to. But no. I want to know which one you wrote and you were like, this is something I'm so incredibly proud of. Oh my God, I can't wait to put this out there.
Oh, you got to give me a second then. So You know what we'll do? We'll pop Matt on. Hey, Matt, let's talk about our first giveaway, Matt.
There we go.
Hey, how you doing?
Hi, Matt.
How you doing, everybody?
Hey, Matt, Nano.
Nano.
So, Matt, do you want to explain the giveaway and, pick a winner, sir? Winner, chicken dinner?
Yeah. So this whole time I've been monitoring the chat for some good comments. And we got quite a few. I took pictures of all of them, but I think I could just scroll through and get through them. Show them up on the screen. I'm going to do some special mentions. Let me see. There was... let me look at my pictures. Okay, we got... Kristen Marie. So excited and love Rachel's hair.
Thanks.
Oh my God, Rachel, your hair is so fetch today.
We got Carolyn Courts saying, can't wait to get my copy.
She's not allowed to win.
Okay, we got...
Just kidding.
Another one from Kristen. F buddies, right?
That's a good one.
We got one from Ray Eatman. Shout out to the Church of Light Skin.
I have questions.
No. Something wrong with him.
And then we got one more. Let me find it real quick. From Jen Valdez.
Oh yeah,
And
that's
she
deep.
said, well, she said sometimes it takes built up hatred to move on.
Ooh.
Okay. But our winner, who I picked with the best comment, was John Get Bent. And he said, if Wendy's 4 for 4 is who you are, then do it up. People
Hell
think
yeah.
disingenuous and putting on airs is worse than being cheap or poor. Well, you're a winner in my book, John.
Hell yes.
I think Mr.
Agreed.
Bent brought a copy of the book. So, Mr. Bent, what we can do is we can give you a free T-shirt. Just shoot me a message with your size and a color shirt you want, and then we'll ship it out to you with the book.
Congrats.
Sounds good to me.
Winner, chicken dinner.
Yeah, buddy. Good
Awesome.
job.
All right, one
All
of the
right,
ones
I'm
I
gonna duck
like.
out. Thanks for tuning in, people.
Thank you, sir. All right, one of the ones I like is called Broken Closet Doors. And I'm not sure if it was a complete poem, but I like it.
Wait, what do you mean by that?
I'll tell you after. Broken
Okay,
Closet
that's fair.
Doors. How do you face coming to terms with the realization that you aren't keeping it real? I read a poem and I began to put myself in this person's shoes, finding myself hidden under piles of ideas and beliefs I once had, pushing through the doors that helped hide myself from me. What do you think it's about? Your face is...
I see what you meant because I expected it to keep going. But I like that. It's a very like abrupt, make you think kind of.
That's why I like it.
Say it again. I want to think about it more.
Okay.
Can you repeat it?
Broken
It's short.
Closet Doors. How do you face coming to terms with the realization that you aren't keeping it real? I read a poem and I began to put myself in this person's shoes, finding myself hidden under the piles of ideas and beliefs I once had, pushing through the doors that helped hide myself from me.
So I relate to this actually, and this does pertain to relationships. Anecdote. Here it comes. I realized recently, so a big theme for me in the past year or so has been really analyzing motivations. So in things like running my business, why do I want it to be bigger? Why do I want to scale? Is it because I actually want to run that kind of business and I actually have the means to, or is it because I want validation? And sometimes when you assess your motivations, right, and you put yourself under a microscope like that, like you said, that realization that you aren't keeping it real, there's a lot of judgment there with the decisions that you made, right? There's a lot of judgment really about who you are, and you know, we tend to be pretty mean to ourselves. I know that face, I get it. You know, we tend to, yeah, we tend to put ourselves under a magnifying glass, but kind of blur over the parts that we really don't want to look at. And when we look at our motivations for certain things, it's really about kind of dissecting those uglier parts, right? So I realized recently a lot of people that I know are getting married, and I was kind of like, marriage, yay. You know, for a while I was like almost a little jealous. Like, why aren't I getting married yet? Like, what is, you know, this is such a big step. It's such an important thing. We should be doing this, blah, blah, blah. I gave myself a little talking to, and I realized that like 90% of why I wanted to get married was because of attention and because of pressure externally and societally, and because it felt like something we're supposed to do. And when I thought about what that would look like, for me, it felt like putting on a very public display of something very private for attention, and basically to have like a second Sweet 16 where you get a pretty dress and you do the thing and whatever, and getting the government involved. The end. Nothing else would change. Like, that's it. Taxes. Cool. Yep. You know, and my opinion on marriage changed after that realization, because I realized that my motivations weren't internally driven and for the betterment of my relationship, but externally driven and based on really a system that someone else set up that we've never questioned. Why didn't we question it? What are we doing? You know, so I don't know. I just think that what that poem challenges us to do is to identify when we're not being authentic, when we're being so swept up in the shit that we're told to do and that we just kind of go along with. Did I take that picture to capture the moment or to see how many likes I could get on Instagram? You know, really assessing and putting yourself under a microscope to make sure that you are being yourself authentically and not just trying to be something for the sake of what other people are expecting or what you feel will give you the best social edge. It's pointing as shit. It's really, it makes you think.
So Jen asked me to read it again. I'm going to read it again. Broken closet doors.
You need it.
How do you face coming to terms with the realization that you aren't keeping it real? I read a poem and I began to put myself in this person's shoes, finding myself hidden under the piles of ideas and beliefs I once had, pushing through the doors that helped hide myself from me. I was reading a poem about a person who was talking about coming out. Broken closet doors, coming out the closet. People's
new level of understanding.
But what you said, when I write, I don't need to define what you read.
Well, I think good writing is about channeling a feeling, but keeping it vague enough that people can interpret it the way that they need to. And this poem is a testament to that, because I wouldn't have pinned that meaning on it. I wouldn't have connected that. So what was that? Yeah, that's what I thought of it as, is like taking stock inside and kind of breaking out. Or maybe the mess is so big that the doors break, you know, whatever it may be. It's pushing behind it to the point where you have to look in the mirror and you have to face that stuff. So
but take that
what
and
about
just put
that
that
poem?
in context, but
what struck you?
Coming out.
Yeah. I mean, that makes it make more sense.
Because if you know, coming out of the closet, how many people get stuck at, oh, I have to tell this person, I have to tell that person, and you haven't really come out the closet,
right?
Because you aren't owning your truth. So the closet doors are broken,
right?
Because I haven't opened all the way. They haven't come out all the way. But when you finally push through, the doors that help hide yourself from you. Because who are you really coming out for?
Right. Huh. That is something to think about. Such a good one. That's a good choice. That was a good choice. Thank you for that. We should probably start to talk about October and November. And
we will in a second. Like. Me and Patty wrote a poem. People don't know Patty writes all the time.
No way.
Yeah.
I didn't realize you guys did one together. Yes,
we did a couple together. It's called One More Breath. Yes, this one's sad, and it's pretty straightforward. We wrote it because she was very close with her grandmother, and the grandmother passed away when she was younger. And then when I was writing Heir, some of the poems didn't get finished and then whatever, but this was one of the ones that it's called One More Breath. Hold on. Missing you, caverns left in my soul, emptiness slowly shearing my heart in two. No more mama and no more you. Not even just one parent, no more of either of you. Sit and stare at the door to your room, yet you never come out. Watch your name in the phone, hoping for another text, another mixed text. One more breath. Rereading text messages, hoping it was all a dream. Losing one was hard, but both of you was harder. My tears come out naturally, hoping it's not true. Praying I was able to see one last breath, but I'll be waiting in my dreams. One last breath is all I need just to ease the pain. Oh, congratulations.
Ouch. That's That's heavy. That's beautiful.
She said your poem was beautiful, Patty.
Thank you.
Let's see.
Because I write poetry too.
Yeah, her book's gonna be coming out soon. Your book too.
My book?
Yeah. Let's put guitars in the chat for Rachel to write a book.
What would it even be about, man?
Really?
Today I made pasta. Here's how you cook different types of pasta. Like, what do I
That's
talk
okay.
about? I don't know.
Let's see. I'll do 2 more, and then we'll start to wrap it up, and we'll talk about the slates and all of that stuff.
Sounds good. Yes, please. The more poems, the better. I just want to make sure. It's my job to help make sure we have time for everything.
You
So,
are
I'm
doing an
just
amazing job.
doing my job. Just bringing it in.
She said it's great, Patty.
I said thank you.
Oh, there are guitars.
Well,
oh my God, there are more guitars.
They're reading this in the guitars for you.
Oh, there are more guitars. Hi.
Oh, the chat. You should have said the chat.
I did say the chat.
I didn't see that.
Okay, let's see.
The pasta poet. This is my rigatoni tattoo.
Guitars, all right. Too many people. Me and Patty wrote this one as well.
Okay.
Too many people. Too many people want to walk in my shoes, but trust that's something you don't want to do. Thinking my life is one perfect picture when it's really not. I walk around like nothing is wrong, head up high, but yet I have so much hate for what these people call life. Been shot down before I was given a chance to even try. Been getting knocked down for so long, as long as I can remember, didn't even get my foot on the ground. Thought about killing myself, thinking it would be the answer so I won't feel alone or not feel wanted. But it wasn't a choice at that point of my life. The verbal, mental, emotional, physical abuse still manages to smile. I still manage to smile like everything is okay. Look my abusers in the eyes and tell myself I'm strong and I will pull this someday. Hoping for the day they say sorry, but that's wishful thinking. So much anger filled my heart that it's hard to drop a tear, show a person I really love them. My shoes are hard to fill from a person looking on the outside, not knowing what's going on deep within. Stronger than the bullshit you exist within. Grew up comfortable. The life was harder than where your feet walk within. Not harder physically, but mentally. Trying to overcome the skin God gave to me. Not that I don't love being black, more like they don't love the fact that I'm black.
Damn. Okay,
You're
lot
good,
to
Patty.
unpack here.
Yeah, Patty,
Shall
that was
we
good,
unpack?
Patty.
Yeah, Patty, would you
Patty,
like
come
to?
here. Come here.
Would you like to unpack that little bag for us? That was
Unpack it, Patty. Yeah,
powerful.
Oh my God.
Oh my God, with the guitar.
She said, you cut your hair, put your freaking dress on. We need more guitars for Rachel to write her book.
Why did I do that? Okay, Patty. Let's go back to Patty.
Go ahead. Talk to the boss.
Tell us about that one. Come on.
Oh, when did I write that?
A long time
be
ago.
Writing things.
I have all your poems.
Oh.
Damn.
I do.
No, I do. After I write it, I send it to Akili. As soon as I write it, I send it to him. That's mostly me growing up. So I was adopted. So it's like I didn't know my mother. I didn't know my father. I was a kid that was adopted. So I felt like I was never accepted because I wasn't blood. So growing up, I was angry. I was an angry child.
So angry.
Shut up, Latoya. Shut up.
I love you. It's okay.
You said you're still
going through having heaven or money. It's like people just disappointment after disappointment after disappointment.
Yeah.
As soon as I go forward, I always get shut down and I go 10 steps back.
Okay.
So that's where that came from.
Wow. Well, that's really powerful. You're such a badass.
Thank you. I haven't wrote in a while though.
Well, put that pen up, girl.
Glass houses, Rachel Miller.
But I don't have anything to write about. I don't know. That's not what we're here to talk about.
Of course it is. I'm always here to talk about the next person's book. This is called Fake Family. Fuck you.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I wrote this one when I was mad, and I don't do that a lot anymore.
But you always mad.
Fake family that does more than real family, I guess, is better family. Or does that logic not follow? You know logic when you think shit out, or is that you never really thought it out? Like someone is looking up to you as a little ass role model, showing up how family's supposed to be. Allegedly you're real, but maybe you're real fake. In reality, you're an illusion, a hologram, a figment of someone's broken imagination, disrupted and disturbed over what you can't be there, can't sacrifice your perceived stature from a real person, an actual one. My bad. You actually a real loser. Some call that props. I call that other shit. Read your history books. My bad. Google that shit. Follow the bouncing ball, Simple Simon. Simplistic in nature. Simply put, family is real no matter what it is. No matter what, if it's family. Hold on. Ugh. Slow it down. I just dismissed you. You're disgruntled at me and her. But look in the mirror at a disgruntled dad. Yes, I'm in my feelings when you dismiss my family and my kids, but you wouldn't get dissed if you not fuck this. Whenever you got something to say about me, dismantle. Bring the smoke to me. I'll be waiting, doing your job.
The venom in those words is palpable.
I edited it.
Oh my god.
So when you read the book, you'll see
anger.
the unedited version. Pasta
Yeah.
poems. All right, last one. Patty asked me what her poem is. The last poem in the book is called Yes,
Well,
in honor of
apparently,
Patricia. Hold on.
I'm mad for Akili right now, so.
Yes. One word changed my world. Engaged and now married, and you are still the one I would choose every time. Yes, you are my twin. Yes, you fixed what was broken in the recesses of my brain. Yes was all I needed to hear from you.
Aww.
That's it. Shut up.
You so cute.
Oh my god.
Kiss. Oh my god, Jimmy nails.
No.
Ew.
Did you just say ill?
Yes.
Oh,
That was sweet. That was very sweet.
I need more guitars for Rachel to write her book.
Why?
Because you need to write a book. What?
I-
Jimmy Nails, start with the R. All right, so back to business. So first, that was it in a nutshell. We talked about it all. You can buy the book. You see the scroll. All the ways you can buy it. It's $23.50 with shipping and handling. Thank you, Catherine. Write your book. If you have any questions, you can let me know. The book is available now. You can go on Amazon if you want, but I get more money if you order it from me. So we go that route. So
Or you can just come to the house and do the hand machine.
Facts.
I don't think everybody else does the address.
Mr. Munoz, sir, can you bring up the slates? Guess for October, on October 1st, my little ingenue, Sophia Tarano's book is coming out, The Quiet One. She will be on this Friday, the 1st at 8 p.m. around. The time is still be decided because she is 13 and she wrote a book. It's a mystery and it's pretty cool. October 2nd, next week, my guy Mitch is going to be coming on. Daniel Martinez, the man, the myth, the comic book whisperer, is coming on. The comic book whisperer, Mr. James Hopner, is coming on October 13th. Mr. Best, the poetic mentor to me, is going to be on October 16th. My tattoo artist and good friend Joy is coming on October 23rd. And Kristen will be back for round 3 with Glenn and myself for the mental health round table. November, please, sir. Randy's going to be coming on November 6th. Austin Kramer is going to be coming on August 13th. We're going to be having a basketball roundtable with my foolish friend Raymond and some other basketball coaches. And Max Williams, one of the people I met through Mr. Fishbeck, is going to be coming on the 29th. Thank you, sir. All right, Mr. Matt, I believe you have a question for the chat to see if they want to win a book.
Yes, I do. All right. For the next giveaway, whoever's the first to answer, who are the first 3 guests on Everyday Experts? Throw out your answers in the chat. I'll throw up the first winner as soon as it comes in. But in the meantime, I got lots of guitars.
No way. How do you guys know you would want to read a book I wrote if you don't know anything about?
You were on the show for 2 hours.
Yeah, that's true. I guess I just kind of assumed that no one really.
Oh, and we got a special comment here from Carolyn. Ordered.
Hey. Sweet.
Thank you.
That's exciting.
Let's see.
Thanks,
Close, Carolyn. No cigar. Come on. And Mr. Jimmy Nails, you can come on in December. I only did do November.
Close, yep. Close.
Close, Carolyn. But no cigar. I guess you shouldn't disagree with me.
That was close. That was real close. Please excuse the barking. I'll mute myself.
No, you don't gotta mute yourself. I like the commentary.
Yeah, no. We like the banter.
No,
YouTube is your friend. That's all I'll say.
Nobody knows who the first 3 guests of Everyday Experts was. Oh, nobody wants a free book, I guess.
Hey, puppy.
I was trying to protect you guys from the screaming of a small man.
What do we got?
And we have a winner. Michelle Pierre,
Good job,
Rob,
Michelle.
Helen, and Patricia.
She cheated. She didn't know that. All
Okay.
right, Michelle, I'll give you a
maybe
book.
Winning.
All right.
Congratulations.
I'm not giving Michelle a shirt because she's picky.
Wow. Dang.
Mr. Munoz, we got to give another shirt away, huh? You can come back, Matt.
Yeah, we could give another one away.
Let's give a T-shirt away. Who are we giving a T-shirt away to? Because the dog.
Are we doing it to the first purchaser?
No, John already got a T-shirt. He already won. You know what? Why don't you pick a second?
I was talking about from the chat.
Yeah, John got a T-shirt. You want to pick a second favorite quote?
Oh well, someone said ordered right here, Carolyn.
Yeah, Carolyn ordered yesterday.
Oh,
but she can't win.
Oh man,
I know.
What am I doing now? I'm sorry.
Your second favorite quote.
Oh, okay.
From the chat, so you get to go do them again.
Okay, let's pull them up real quick. Let me see. We got. There's a tie between Catherine Wood, Carolyn Courts, and Kristen, and Jimmy Nails there.
Carolyn's
considering that one. I want you to spend a lot of money on shipping. No, I'm joking.
Here's one. Here's one. If you can guess his name.
That works for me.
It's a very generic dog name.
Petty drinks.
I'll let him yell at you.
If you can guess the dog's name, you're a winner.
Who's the winner?
If you can guess Matt's dog's name, you will win.
No, Rachel's.
Oh, Rachel's dog name?
Oh. Yeah, that little gentleman.
Fluffy.
Wait, what?
Max? Catherine says?
No? It starts with a B. I'll give you guys one, because otherwise we're going to be here till
with a B? What kind of dog? Bernard?
The B.
Maybe if you're watching the show.
I was watching the show. Who are you yelling at?
Child. Can you not? Oh my gosh, sorry guys. He's very mad that I'm on the couch.
It starts with a B.
Benny?
Nope, not Ben.
Boo?
Definitely not Boo.
Bubba?
Cute. Not Bubba, but we're getting warmer.
Bingo.
And we are colder again.
Buddy?
Jason, congratulations!
Oh, we
There
have a
you go.
winner.
We have a
Congratulations.
What is it?
Buddy.
His name is Buddy.
So Jason won a t-shirt. All right. Let's see. Got to give away one other book. A book.
Do it about Patty.
Yeah, do a Patty question.
Mm-mm.
Who was listening earlier? What exactly did Akili do on his first date with Patty? Where did they go? They went 2 places. Akili has left the chat. Hello, where'd you go? There he is. All right, what did they do on their first date? Where else, though? We need a 2-part answer for this giveaway.
My person hit me.
Catherine got it.
Catherine, you already won. All right, have somebody else win. Because I see Catherine, you're going to get a shirt. I can't with you guys.
Did you say Matt?
Oh, all right. Now everybody's got
got a lot of
it.
people
All right,
who
now we
pay
got to do a
attention.
different question.
Okay.
Let's see. All right, here's an
Can you
easy
guys hear
question.
this? I'm so sorry.
No. Here's an easy question. Because somebody gave the answer away. You'll get a shirt, Catherine. You'll get a shirt. Stop whining, because I hear you whining. So, what was the theme of me and Patty's wedding? Quick. The theme of me and Patty's wedding.
Is it what I think it is? I think I know this.
Yes.
I'm not saying it, but okay.
Nobody knows? Wow.
Jen did.
She didn't say. Oh, okay. Let's see.
I'm looking dead at it. Of course she knows. It's Jen.
Okay, Jen won. Oh, okay. So, all right. Jen, you got to buy a book. All right, Jen, you want a book. And Kristen want a book. Why? Stupid. Yes, it was Batman and Joker. So, John won a t-shirt. Jason won a t-shirt just because Carolyn doesn't want him to have one. And Jen and Kristen have books. All right.
Very cool.
So, you
Very cool.
still got the scroll going. Order them books, people. No, I want it. Okay, Jen. Do you want to donate your book to somebody, Jen, since you want to buy yours?
I told you.
All right. All you guys are annoying. All right.
Oh, I could do one. I'm gonna drop a question.
All right, Patty's gonna ask, since you all passing your books on, and you want to order them.
So nice. What a supportive group of
That's
people.
awesome. You guys are great.
Yeah, hell yeah. We like that.
Patty's gonna ask a question. You gonna ask a question in the chat?
Yeah.
What's the question? I'll ask it.
Oh, Jen said she's gonna pass it on to the library.
No.
Shut down.
She can pass it to the library. Thanks, Carolyn. They're waiting for you, Patty.
I know. I can't think.
All right. All right. So I'll have to figure it out. Order your books. I thank everybody for tuning in. Miss Miller, you were amazing. Great job. Can't wait for you to
Thanks
come on.
for
every day.
having me.
Of course. You were so energetic, asked such good questions. When we have our relationship episode, we definitely got to come on and discuss dates again because that was fun. It was fun. So order the book. Yes.
Thank
Put
you,
some
Matt.
more.
Thank you, guys.
Put some more guitars in the chat for her being a great host and for her to write a book with me. elpoetaguasan.com. Matt, can you put the stuff up? Can you put the ways to order the book up for me, please, Mr. Munoz? Yes, if you're interested in the show. All right. Rachel, hang around. As they
Hanging
say in
around.
Looney Tunes. That's all, folks. Mr. Munoz, take us out. Nanu, nanu.